Hey YouTubers, and welcome back to Tony the Technician channel. And today is the big day, or hopefully is and should be the big day, and that is getting the 3rd gen Camaro fired up for the first time in, I don't know, 6-7 years. So I've had this car since, I want to say 2014, 2015 timeframe. Started working on it at the end of 2016, and just slowly, you know, it was supposed to be a simple engine and trans swap, and it used to have the 2.8 liter V6 in it. And well, when I got that engine out, I started to clean up the engine bay, and I had already done the interior for the most part. Well, as soon as I started rebuilding this engine again, it turned into an entire project car. And instead of being a 2-month, you know, project, it turned into 6 years. So it is what it is. I'm happy that I did it, but it's time to get this thing out on the road. So in this video, you will see both me and my father getting this thing started up and timed. My father is here not only to help me, and to have, it's better to have multiple eyes on the vehicle when starting up a vehicle like this, because it's not like I just dropped the engine in or anything like that. Everything on this is basically new. All the lines, wires, everything's basically changed. So there's a lot to inspect while also trying to get this thing to run and make sure that there's no leaks or electrical issues or anything like that. I've done my checks along the way, but it's always just better to have more than one set of eyes. Plus, this block is actually originally out of his 75 Nova. He won a 383 stroker crate motor on a $10 raffle like 15-20 years ago. So we pulled the engine out of his Nova, hot tanked it and bored it 40 over, installed it into an 87 Camaro, which I got to drive for 2 days before basic training, and then it sat for almost 10 years. We pulled the engine out of it, got rid of the car. I bought this for $2,800, and that's when I was going to swap it into here, and then decided to rebuild the engine again and rebuild the entire dang thing. So we finally came to that day. I think I've had this car, you know, since 2014, 2015, and I think I started on it, you know, late 2016, really digging into the car. So it's been a long time, but it's time to get this thing on the road. The only thing we have left after this is an alignment, the final welding bracket on the exhaust, and the wrap. In this video, we're gonna be going ahead and starting this thing up, hopefully getting it timed. And then I also have a custom aftermarket stop bushing in the distributor. We're gonna see how that handles, or how it does. I'm hoping that I can run more initial timing and then less mechanical timing, just so I can get a little bit better bottom end. But we'll see. If I have to take it apart and put a different stop bushing in there, we'll make adjustments from there. But let's go ahead, get this thing fired up, and I really hope you guys enjoy.
Try it again there. Well,
We're getting oil pressure.
okay. Have you turned the?
Hit the fuel or start it?
Just try starting quick. We got no spark coming.
Alrighty, YouTubers, so in that clip, you saw us attempting to start the engine for the very first time. We were either not getting spark or not getting fuel. First, we determined it was spark due to the timing light not reacting or picking up anything, so it wasn't flashing. Tested the coil, realized that one of my switches is actually tied to my ignition, so there's a process to starting my car. I still need my key, but the ignition is actually tied to a toggle. Flip that, move the pickup, ended up, and I used my spark tester. We had spark. We'll just go that route. We had spark. After a minute, we did realize I had no fuel pressure. I have a gauge mounted to my Phytech, and we had no pressure there. So we decided to crack the line, absolutely bone dry. After that, we're like, okay, maybe it's stuck at the pre-filter, which I have in the engine bay. We checked before the pre-filter, no fuel. So we moved to the fuel filter underneath the car, back by the rear wheel. Cracked it, had fuel come out, but after about a couple seconds, it stopped. So we decided to prime the fuel pump to see if more fuel would come. Nothing. So basically the fuel that had came out was pre-existing fuel from a long time ago. So that got drained out and no fuel was coming out of the tank whatsoever. We then proceeded to check the polarity on the fuel pump. We swapped the wires to make sure that it wasn't running backwards. It wasn't that. The fuel pump's turning on and everything, it's just not pumping, which with this style of fuel pump, it's very, very, very rare for the fuel pump to turn on and not flow fuel. There are designs where they will turn on and not pump. This design, it's very unlikely. So unfortunately, there was only one solution left, one that I really did not want to do, and that is removing the fuel tank. So we proceeded to lift the car and lower the rear end. We spent 3.5 hours doing this, if not more. Not that it takes that long, but we were trying to remove as little as possible to get the rear end out of the way to get the fuel tank out. Well, turns out it wasn't possible. This rear end's bigger, especially if it's not on a lift. Like, we had to remove literally everything except for the torque arm. We even had to remove the drive shaft because the drive shaft was then making contact with the drive shaft loop up front by the transmission, not allowing the transmission or the rear end to come down any further. So we literally ended up removing everything. We would remove something, lower the rear end, try and get the fuel tank out, but the angle that it had to come out at, we just kept removing, and realized, like, there's nothing else we can do. We got to remove everything. So we removed it all except for the torque arm. Finally got it out. I have never been so frustrated or irritated in my life. I've removed this fuel tank 3 times now, and I was this close to just cutting a hole in the floor. But we had already had everything torn apart, so there was no sense in that. So we finally got it out. We then removed the fuel pump and sending unit from the fuel tank, and at this time my son was ready for bed, so I had to put him down. Well, I knew I wasn't going to be able to sleep that night, because if I didn't know what was wrong with this thing, I would just lay there all night. So as soon as I got my son laid down, I came back out and I grabbed the fuel pump and sending unit, picked it up, and I'll post a picture. Basically, in between the fuel pump and the actual hard lines on the sending unit, there's about a 2-inch hose, and I looked at it and I was like, that looks like a sponge on one side. I turned the whole unit around, and there's a massive hole blown in the side of this 2-inch hose. I don't know how. The fuel pump is unused. It's new. I installed it a couple years ago, but it's just been in there. Same thing with the sending unit. And when I had it out a couple months ago to siphon the old fuel out of the tank and put the new rear end in, it wasn't even a thought to me, or it hadn't occurred to me to actually inspect that portion of it, just because everything on there was new. It was just sitting in the tank. So somehow over the last couple years of it just sitting in the tank, this 2-inch piece of hose deteriorated, and it was fuel line, which was very odd. So I don't know how that happened, but it did. And that caused about 6 hours of work for a 2-inch rubber. We'll leave it at that. 2-inch rubbers can cause a lot of headaches for a lot of people, and this one caused about 6 hours worth of work. Either way, put a new fuel line hose on there that connects the fuel pump to the sending unit. We then ran jumper wires from my battery to the fuel pump after we installed it in the tank. Made sure that it flowed fuel before putting the fuel tank back in. It flowed fuel perfectly. Put it back in, put the tank back in the car, flowed it again. Once we had it all reinstalled, we weren't going to reinstall the rear end until we knew fuel was coming to the engine. So we checked the fuel filter in the rear, and up at the Phytech itself, we had beautiful fuel flow. So then we proceeded to install the rear end and everything again and get that lined up and all of that. So it was about 3.5 hours of disassembly, about 30 minutes to fix and test the fuel pump, and then about an hour and a half to reassemble everything the next morning. And then this clip that I'm about to play now is where we left off. First attempt, we didn't even do anything. The only thing we did yesterday with the distributor was loosen the hold down so we could make adjustments. We loosened it, and my dad turned it all the way to one direction, and we were going to start from there and work our way and get it set in for timing. And that's where this clip starts off. Make sure there's no leak. I'm just gonna prime it 3 times.
Nothing there. Unless there's something down with that old filter.
Good.
Yeah.
All right. Here we go.
Crank away.
So, if you guys saw in the video, never in my life, me or my father, we've built quite a few engines. We've worked on quite a few of other people's, and in the automotive field and on the race team, many instances. It is very rare, and never have I ever had an engine start so fast and so easily. If it wasn't for that 2-inch rubber hose, my dad would have showed up. We would have turned it on instantly. Instead, we had 6 hours of both of us cussing. I dropped a 2x4 on my dad's head because it was holding the fuel tank up while we were trying to get everything situated, and we lifted up on the fuel tank and the 2x4 hit him in the head. I just call it involuntary revenge upon me getting hurt as a child working on cars with him. So I think we're even now. He may or may not. He does have a black eye. But everything went real good after that. But it would have been great if he would have just showed up and the car just fired right up. But either way, at this point now, we're just going through. We're checking timing, initial timing. We're checking for coolant leaks, fuel leaks, transmission fluid. I mean, all the fluids. We're checking the sensors. Valve covers, oil pan. I mean, we're checking everything as far as where you could get leaks. We're just doing your routine checks after a first startup. I made a list of pre-start checks, post-start checks, while it's running. And then after we, kind of got the initial timing, which we didn't even have to adjust the distributor after that. Where he turned it to before starting was literally dead on where we needed to be. It was at 22 degrees of initial timing, which is more than normal. Normally, small block Chevy, a lot of people run them, 13 to 15 degrees of initial timing, and then the rest being vacuum or mechanical advance, or both. Mine is I wanted to run as much initial timing as possible, and then I had a 10 degree, or I didn't know if I had a 10 degree or a 14 degree stop bushing in there. So we had to check, revved it and held it at 2 grand, and it rose up to 32 degrees of total timing. 22 and 32, I may go to 24 and 34, I'm not sure yet, but we'll see. So we just did our routine checks, and that, it was fantastic for startup, warm up. We then did the coolant, bled the coolant, added coolant, and then tranny fluid. Filled up the rest of the transmission. I added 3 quarts before startup a few days ago, and it would only take 3 quarts, and it said it was full. And then I added an additional 5 quarts, I want to say. I think we had a total of 8 in there, and then whatever's in the torque converter, and it was running good. Now I can't run over 40 miles an hour. Got the new rear end and all the new components and everything. It suggests not to go any hard launches or over 40 for 500 miles. So unfortunately, that's a bummer. But it is what it is. I'm going to break this thing in correctly after a few hundred miles. I'll do an oil change and all of that, and then after 500 I'll do the rear end oil change or fluid change. So before I go messing with anything, I need to let this system learn. I need to make sure the IAC steps are correct within parameter. If not, I'll have to adjust that. There's slight tuning that I'll have to do along with the timing. Other than that, it's running really good for just firing right up. So here's just a couple little test drives. You'll be able to hear or see some of it. I attempted to mount the camera in the car, and I didn't put my wind mic on my shotgun mic, and I can't even listen to it, so that was worthless. But I'll try and throw in some clips of us driving around, or running the car, just so you guys can hear it. But there will be more videos coming now that the car is running. We can fine tune it and really get it tweaked in. But soon we'll have the car wrapped, and I really hope you guys enjoy the rest of the video. If you guys do, please make sure to hit that thumbs up, leave a comment down below of your guys' thoughts, and as always, subscribe if you're not a subscriber. See you guys next time.